Last semester, I researched Carmel Valley with Mackenzie and Orly. We started to look at Carmel Valley in ways for what it was known for, and try to get a gist of the individuals residing there. We quickly realized that it was an upscale living area with beautiful golf courses, shopping centers, horseback riding and races, and top-tier education that has a lot to do with the premiums of the home value that are increased 3% just for being there, along with a median household income of $160,000. When looking at all of that, we decided to trace back to the community plan of Carmel Valley of where it all started. When digging through it, we came to realize that Carmel Valley had a master plan to essentially have an all-inclusive community from individuals of all social classes. The city's master plan definitely went the other direction and off of its target, and come to realize that it can be difficult to support yourself in terms of rent. My plan for this semester in our final thesis was to solve the problem of commuting great lengths to afford housing for our social and retail workers. We learned quickly with Carmel Valley and its new development that the homes are getting bigger with smaller lots to accommodate the wealthy clientele. Developers had no plans to find solutions for low-income housing. Now I'll quickly read my thesis. Repurposing La Jolla's vacant office space. La Jolla's workforce meets the abandoned office building. The effect of COVID and office spaces of large corporations have accelerated the obsolescence of large-scale monofunctional buildings. Companies such as Amazon, American Express, Coinbase are transitioning their traditional office environment to a work-from-home program. These companies even intend to remain this way after the pandemic as it's more cost-efficient. This leaves millions of square footage across the nation vacant and more so than not abandoned. On a micro level, La Jolla is no exception. It is notorious for its high rent prices, yet it is inconvenient for low-wage workers who power La Jolla's infrastructure to commute great lengths to provide basic services. My project explores the appropriation and reinvention of office space as low-income housing to allow for a better being for La Jolla and its low-income community. Initially, when I started pinpointing all the office buildings La Jolla that have been vacant for some time now, and if we look at it in terms of feasibility, these buildings are losing between $200,000 to $500,000 a month in rents. The building that I worked on in this diagram is the one closest to us, called La Jolla Executive Square, which is 550,000 square feet. Once I mapped all of the office buildings, I pinpointed all of the transit stops to illustrate how commuting to and from your job without the need of a car is a very possible task. I then made these drawings to depict the different transformations these office buildings may have, with courtyards, windows turning into balconies, and overall a better social circulation compared to introverted office space layouts. My plan all in all wasn't to have an exclusion of social class, but rather bringing the outside community into the ground floor by adding a restaurant, a franchise gym, an area for shared workspace, and lastly a library. All this can be used with the outside public and can essentially bring the outside neighboring individuals into these spaces. My goal here was not to make this feel like an outcast in La Jolla. During my process towards my final output of a final floor plan, I used this exercise of bringing in the outside in with a communal garden on different floors and these little pockets of outside viewing to bring sunlight in, and vegetation, move things like elevators to the outside and opening up the inside to play with the actual area and see where I'm able to cut certain spaces to accommodate a courtyard. I then started to play with different floor plans, layouts, and puzzle piece them into the floor plans itself to fit and maximize the space and fit as many rooms as possible for 1-bedroom studios and 2-bedroom units comfortably. During this process, my whole layout shifted, with elevators remaining in the center, and instead of opening up the entire building from the inner space to create more balconies within the interior and allowing for sunlight of the interior space from the original were extracted from the space, allowing for a more courtyard feel without the need to move the elevator system. Creating the courtyard in this office building itself was very beneficial, as you can maximize the amount of spaces Creating courtyards in the center create more opportunities for sunlight along with maximizing the amount of living space in this building. This is then mirrored onto the other floors of living spaces. Not only does this transformation arrive to a more open layout and a comfortably maximized floor plans for the amount of rooms set in place, it creates for a more sociable environment overall.